Good evening. Welcome to the Land Use and Building Management Committee meeting of October 1st, 2025. It is 7:01. I'm calling the meeting to order. Tonight we have with us council members James Freyer, Nicole Eady, Heather Dunn, and myself, Barbara Smith. We do have a quorum, so we will proceed. And if additional members come in, we will note that. Next item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes of the meeting of September 3rd, 2025. Do I have a motion, please? Ms. Dunn, thank you very much. Are there any changes, deletions, corrections? Ms. Dunn?
Yes, I was at that meeting. I was on the phone and I'm not listed on
All
the.
did. Okay, thank you. We'll correct that. Anything else? All right, seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor of the minutes as amended, please raise your hand. Okay, that's unanimous. Moving on to public participation. Do we have anyone who has joined us that would like to speak?
We do not.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and close public participation. And we have no old business, so we'll move on to new business. Item A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a contract with ThyssenKrupp Elevator Corporation, TKE, for the Norwalk Main Library Elevator Upgrade, a modification project for a total not to exceed $171,033.32, account number noted. And authorize the Office of Building Management to execute change orders on the contract for a total not to exceed $17,103.33, account number noted. Will someone please move the items? Ms. Eady? Pretty standard. You want to take that, Alan?
Yeah, very quickly. For the past few years, we've been talking about this discussion about a new library project and stuff. And we held off on this upgrade and elevator, thinking that potentially that would be done at that such time. But since we haven't really allocated funding or a full development or a plan for the main library, building management feel that it's important to get these things taken care of. It's not wasted money. It's even though we do something major improvement to the library, improving the elevator is something we have to do eventually anyway. So the work involves it's ADA compliance as well as some of the controls, the panels, the buttons and stuff. It's you can't find it in terms of replacement parts. And also we want to upgrade the cab itself. So the total is about 170,000, I think it was. And at the same time is that we are using the contractor that we went out to bid for maintenance services. So there's I think there's maybe about 3 companies in the state kind of thing. And we got to bid for maintenance services, but for elevator, there's always as elevator goes, there's a higher risk and liability involved. So we really don't want a different company doing improvements while a different company comes in and do maintenance. We wanted to make sure that everything falls under an umbrella so that there's no discrepancy in terms of who did what kind of thing. So working with Sharon, our purchasing agent, we analyzed the strategy that whether we actually go out to bid on the renovation work or go for a proposal with the current maintenance provider. We decided TK whatever. It's since they are the current service provider, as well as we bid out that I think it's like 2 years ago maybe. So we want to have the same for the improvement to be managed and completed by the same company, so there's no finger pointing. If somebody did the improvement and next person come in and that didn't work, it becomes much of an issue. So this is a little more one-stop shopping, so that its consistency is important. Anyway, so that's what's in front of us. It's pretty straightforward. We got the proposal, we analyzed it, and I think about year and a half, 2 years ago, we did the City Hall elevator. Similar manner. So if you come to City Hall, you see the elevator has been updated since 1986. So that's probably like 30 years ago, right? 1986, no, 40 years ago. Anyway, so it's time to upgrade the elevator, and that's what's in front of you tonight. Thank you.
Questions or comments? It is what it is. Okay, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right, that's unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to B, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Seaman Construction, Inc. for snow removal and ice control services at the Norwalk Police Headquarters parking lots, 3 Belden Avenue and the Ben Franklin Center. The agreement will be for 3 years with 2 optional years beginning November 1, 2025. Account numbers noted. Will someone please move that? Mr. Freyer, thank you very much.
For this item, there's 2 components to this. One, it's snow removal along the sidewalks. Parks Department does all the school sidewalk and all, but when it come down to the police headquarters and what's the other location? And I think was it library? I think it is. We contracted out because there's a lot more sidewalk, and by the time a lot of time we don't get there, if Parks Department is going to maintain that, our their primary focus is all the school sidewalks as well as safe route to school. So we decided a number of years ago to contract that service out. The other thing for police headquarters, the parking lot in the back, it's very different from parking lot for like school parking lot, because school parking lot typically at night, the middle of winter, will be empty. So the city uses snowplow, which is trucks with blades on it, to go for the parking lot and clean it and then ready for school opening in the morning. For police department, the lot parking lot is always cars in it, so it takes a lot of maneuvering, and you can't use a road truck to do snow removal in those tight parking lots, especially there are cars in it all day and night long. So a lot of time with a heavy snowstorm, we actually move the cars around and shovel it, and the certain snowstorm is so heavy that we actually had to truck the snow away. So it's a little specialized services. The reason why I come to Common Council, we've been doing this for a number of years. The reason why I come to Common Council because of multi-year contract. So that's required council approval. The cost isn't a lot, but at the same time, it's based on how much snow we get and how many passes they have to make and all that stuff. So overall, it's somewhat straightforward. And again, the main reason coming to council is that it's a multi-year contract.
So I have a question, Alan. The amount is not in the language, and the amount was $908. So could we be clear, is that $908 annually?
No, it's not.
For
It's
total.
based on accumulation.
Oh, it's based on accumulation. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you know what? If it's because what happened is like the original memo was written by building manager Neil's office. I made some changes. I didn't read it again, and I guess it came to a committee. If the committee doesn't mind, if the concept is okay to the committee, if the committee could approve it, and then and staff will actually update the action to reflect what's being presented, which is awarded to this company. I think it's Siemens. I think it is.
Yeah,
right?
Siemens.
And then the bid proposal is based on $900 per. I think it's like 2 inches or something like that. So I'll get more language into the action so that and I'll send it to the committee tomorrow, and then so you see it before the council meeting. But if you don't mind, if you can approve it, then I can make those minor adjustments to the action so that it's clarified that the miss that we had on the memo.
So it's essentially $908 per every 2 inches of snow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get a little more specific because
Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any objections to that? Ms.
I can always change it too for you, Alan, while we're in our meeting and send it off.
Yeah, we can amend it. We can amend it right here. And
Okay. Okay.
probably preferable.
Yeah.
Ms. Dunn, your question?
My question is, do we have a cap? Do they provide any kind of, I know it's very little money, but is there kind of like a
No, we don't have a cap.
$50,000 or something like that?
We do not, for all this year, we never had a cap. It all depends on weather conditions. So I don't, even if we have a cap, but if we reach that, I still have to authorize them to continue because the snows are coming down, right? So, but we've been pretty consistent in terms of what we do. And last, I would say 3 to 4 years, it hasn't, these storms hasn't been significant. I mean, weather is weather, right? But at the same time, is that we do not have a cap, and what happens when we budget, I can also, when I email you tomorrow, I can let you know how much we budgeted every year. And that, you know, we usually reconcile at the end of the year with finance department. So if we're short, then we'll move money around just to back fund that account kind of thing. But yeah, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I mean, we have to remove snow, and that's
Yeah.
what it is.
it's helpful to know that you've already budgeted for it. It's not gonna surprise
Yeah.
you.
So I would provide you a number that indirectly, I guess, what we budget for, generally speaking, is our cap. I mean, it's not solid cap. We can go over it if we have to, kind of thing. But it is accountable. We are accountable to the finance department if we do run over, and we have to justify, document everything that we need to do to satisfy them at the end of the season.
Okay, sounds good, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Alan, if you just add like the minutia details into the backup, that's okay. And then just like, Joanne, what did you come up with in terms of, just adding the $908 per 2 inches?
Oh, I didn't do it because you said you were amending it. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, okay, it's okay. So, but let's go ahead.
Okay.
We can do that. Will someone make the motion to, I can do it, but,
Well, just
Go ahead, Mr.
before you do that, can't we just take the budget and say that's the cap?
I think we vote on, that's, I guess, what I understood. Whatever you have budgeted is what we're
Is
putting
the
forward.
cap, and that's what we're gonna vote on.
Yeah,
Sure. I worded on the revised action, and I'll forward to everybody for tomorrow night. So
Okay.
basically, I think what I would say is that, at the rates at 9, I forgot what the number, 9 somewhere per 2 inches for a maximum budget amount of that.
Well, no, why don't we just put, based on the budgeted amount? Because what you're saying is that could be one snowstorm, and we have 5 snowstorms. I don't know how you even figured out what the budget was. But it would be just very simple to say not to exceed the budgeted amount, which is
Okay,
whatever.
very good.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
simple.
I'm good with that.
Okay, not to exceed, so because of the contract, we're contractor, so based on that rates, for a total not to exceed the budgeted amount.
Yeah,
Okay,
is our approval, but that's not the contract you're signing. It just means that we have
Right.
approved up to whatever you budgeted.
yeah. So
Out,
basically, a unit price, I'm sorry, I mean, sorry, I didn't talk over you, my fault. Yeah, it's really a unit price contract, right, generally speaking,
Right.
it's not a lump sum amount. Okay,
So do we want to say authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with SEMA Construction for snow and ice control services at the Norwalk Police Headquarters parking lots, 3 Belden Avenue and Ben Franklin Center in the amount of $908 per 2 inches of snow up to the budgeted amount. The agreement is for 3 years.
why do we have to put all that in? Why don't we just say not to exceed X number of
Not-
dollars?
Do we just,
we have to mention.
Who cares how much it is for 2 inches of snow? You put a budget in there, and the budget is probably something in the neighborhood of about $5,000, $6,000 or something like that.
I don't know what it is, so.
Well, I mean, whatever it is, just to say, go through the whole thing, and at the end of it, say not to exceed $5,000 or whatever the budget is.
Very good.
Who cares?
So-
all right,
whether
well then,
it's-
so we need that figure then.
Right, we need to figure
Okay.
out, put that
Okay,
figure in.
all
It's
right.
a combination of 3 different accounts up here.
Yep,
I
okay,
did 3 locations, and we like, we
Okay.
had to add the total
Yeah.
number together, so, okay.
all right,
Let's
that's fine.
just try
So
to
then,
keep it simple, that's all.
okay, that's fine. So we'll have to wait for that language tomorrow. But in the meantime, we'll go ahead and vote on the motion that will include that language. So all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, that is unanimous. All right, so we are finished with our action items and we can move on to the monthly school construction project update.
Yeah. Basically, there's 2 parts of tonight's school construction update. This is typically what you see from us. It's an update from Norwalk High School and South Norwalk School, as well as the HVAC project. The second part of this presentation tonight is we are having a presentation on as part of the overall school construction strategy, if I call that, we want to do a presentation to the committee regarding West Rock School as one of our next projects. So before we get to that, let me just go through quickly about the 3 projects we typically update the committee with. The first one was the Norwell High School. There's really not too much to say. It is it's ongoing. It's the construction activity is very I would say aggressive, I guess. We are moving along very well. We completed the steel erection almost a month and a half ago already, and you can see we got exterior building walls and brickwork, and windows are beginning to go in and stuff like that. So this is different part of the building. Certain part of the building is actually a little behind this one kind of thing. And overall, we're moving along. We're on schedule, and financially, we are still looking to secure the balance of the amount that we require for this project. So there's going to be a discussion about that in the near future. In any event, we are moving along very steadily. We are still scheduled to complete the construction of the new building by occupancy by fall 2027. And thereafter, we would demolish the existing building and construct the athletic facilities. So we are on schedule as the project goes. So the next project, let's go to South Norwalk School. Since that's, as you all know, we have the ribbon cutting this month, I guess. Yeah, and it's the project is finished, and it's very exciting actually. This is part of the picture that we took during the ribbon cutting ceremony. Overall, I think the project worked out really well. Even a lot of times we open the school, there's miscellaneous issues and stuff like that. This project, it's pretty much no. This project worked out that there's really no significant issues except all those typical punch list items that we run into, where outlet may not be working properly, or there's dents in the wall, or the trim on the roofing edge is not finished properly, kind of stuff. So we're going through the punch list. There's probably 100, 200 items kind of thing, but it's being worked on, and we don't do those punch list items during the day while school in session, except maybe when it's outdoor or where there's like site work and stuff like that. Other than that, we only do that after hours and on weekends. So it does take a little time to finish those miscellaneous items. So we are on top of that for the next few more months in order to finish it. So overall, everything moving along pretty well. I think that's it. I think, I don't know if Sandra have anything to add on it. I'm sure the community is very happy with it, but.
Yeah, I was just there today, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's been great.
Very good. So that's about South Norwalk School. And the next item is the 6 HVAC projects. You can move it up a little bit. Oh, there is, yeah. So the 2 schools that most critical at this stage of the game, it's actually Silver Mine and Rowayton. The reason being is that these schools, we are currently working on the boiler room. So we're actually replacing the boilers of both these locations. So our schedule for completion, October 15. So we are on schedule to finish, and so that we can provide heat this winter. So that's the biggest challenge in front of us, and we are moving on schedule. The other project that's, I would say, 90 to 95% complete is the Brookside School rooftop unit replacement project. The units all moved. We have some issues with some of the existing conditions, so we're correcting them. And also we need to look at we have to Brookside. We have to fix a couple of minor things the building control system, building management system, we need to get it set up to the point that we can have remote access and control off-site from Brookside School. Other than that, we should be finish that project within about 2 more weeks. The other project that the reason I hesitate is because this picture keep showing up in front of me, so it distracted me. The other project is actually Bryant McMahon High School. That has some challenges. We actually putting the chiller on the loading dock area, and that's why we had to remove these tanks. There's two underground oil tanks in the location. So we found a little bit of contamination in those locations. So we're looking to going for environmental consultant and remediation contractor to take care of those spills. And the goal of Bryant McMahon is that we will get the site prepped, get the chiller is going to be placed on the outside of the building by the existing loading dock. So we have to get all the outdoor construction ready. The chillers has been ordered, scheduled delivery is somewhere in February or March. The goal is to have these units installed and working before next summer. Because some of you may know that Bryant McMahon High School, the existing chiller plan failed this summer. So we actually have a temporary chiller delivered to site and operated for the summer, and it's a little bit of a noise issue. By this effort that we're doing, we should be able to finish this before next summer comes, so that we don't have the cost of renting a temporary chiller. That's kind of expensive. I think it's maybe $150,000 to $200,000 for the summer to rent. So it's to the extent we finish this before next summer, it's a financial saving to the city. So and the last project, Narrow-Mick, and we're waiting will continue, and those projects will be finished end of next summer. The last project I want to talk about is actually Marvin. Marvin School is a little more complicated in the sense that when we went to bid in last May or so, the bids came in very high. I think at that time of the year, when we bid out to mechanical contractor, they all tied up with the summer project already. So we did not have a lot of bidding activity. And also by the time we want to try to figure out a scope change kind of thing to make it work, it's too late in the season, because even we made changes, we said all the equipment get delivered, it will never be done in last summer. So we decided to postpone the project, and we are at this point we are preparing to go out to bid. I believe it's either this week or next week. So we're looking to get the bids out, get the bid results back in another month or so, and go through the approval process, and then order the equipment and have the equipment ready for summer installation next year. So that's the schedule for Marvin. I think that's basically it. These projects. So by end of this season, by December, 2 projects going to be finished: Brookside School and Silvermine. So that's out of 6 projects. We have 2 projects completed, and the other project will be end of next summer.
Mr. Freer.
I just wanted to ask one question. You were saying you're swapping out the boilers in row 8 in the school, and you had on October 15th. Is that when it's going to be done?
Yes, it's a new one. It's in actually. It's
Okay.
in fact next week I think as early Monday or Tuesday we're going to start turning the boilers on, because once you even the boilers start running, you still got to do a lot of secondary stuff and controls and miscellaneous and tie into other things, and also you find things that may not work exactly as we think it is, so we got to go through it. And so we're looking to make sure that we can provide heat by October 15th. So yeah, the boiler, I think some of the pictures I just showed the boilers, and it's the burners on, everything else, all the piping's all installed. It's get to the point that it's again, in a couple more days it should be able to start it.
No, my only concern was that it's going to get cold tonight and tomorrow, I think. Go back or down into the 50s. So does that mean they have no heat there now?
Yeah, right now there's no heat. Yeah, but the nighttime temperature, it doesn't, like if you start the building, but if the indoor temperature like drop down to 66, 65, but at the end of the day it would be like 76 degrees kind of thing, and then you go for the little cycle every day kind of thing. So it's typically, ideally we want to finish everything in October 1st, but October 15th is not unusual for us. So a couple of days may be a little cooler kind of thing, but even though tonight I think it's super dropped down to 40s, the indoor temperature would probably stay at 65, 68 degrees still,
Yeah,
We
none
have,
of those kids wear long sleeve shirts anyway, so it doesn't make any difference.
we have no school tomorrow, Jim, so that's 2 nights that it doesn't matter. Ooh, wish I,
I mean, you have to run around the classroom, but it is very tough. I understand it because there are times like September could be very hot, and then we're looking for air conditioning. But ultimately, at the end of the day, is that the ability for us to do work for school is really limited. It's really from like June 20, 25th or so
Right.
to August 15. It's really like 2 months. So to the extent that we can squeeze and get it done, it's always been a challenge. That's why about a year and a half ago we got approval for the HVAC project. It take 2 years to do this stuff because you got to do abatement, you got to do this. It just very challenging, and I think to the extent that we can put 2 new the boilers in at 2 projects with Silvermine and Rowayton, I think it's a good thing because they've been having a lot of issue with those boilers, and I mean the negative side is that potentially you lose heat in the middle of winter. That's even worse because you can't run school at that point, right? So
Right.
getting through these shoulder days, we can get by. It's a good day. All right, thank you. So I think that gone through the kind of ongoing major school construction projects. And tonight we have Sandra here and Michael here. Michael is an architectural firm. They've been retained by the city. Not really a large endeavor. Really, it's just a conceptual evaluation of some of the possible project the city want to work on in the long term. And the one that they're working on, focus on, and for presentation tonight is really West Rock School. We've been talking about this probably for about a year or more kind of thing, but a little bit at a time. It's not like we are gun ho. I think the main reason we went to the Board of Education Facility Committee last night, and we come to land use meeting. So we want to be as transparent as we are in terms of like which project we want to work on in the near future. Couple of reasons. One is that through all these conversations for the last couple of years, the question always come up is how much can the city afford in terms of financially can afford in terms of building new schools and major renovation. And we resolved that working with the finance committee, finance department, we felt that the city can reasonably afford every 3 years do a major school construction project. A major construction project probably between $80 to $100 million. That's the dollar amount, and we get 60% reimbursement. But at the same time, those are significant numbers, so it's not like we can do one every year. So 3 years is what we're looking at. And the reason we're coming to both facility committee and land use tonight is that if this is the interest of the city and Board of Education, we would need to submit a capital, but we as in Board of Education need to submit a capital budget request this December and start the process so that we can submit to the state for project approval in order to get the reimbursement locked in. So that's why in front of you tonight. There's no action required. It's really inform the committee, the Common Council, as well as the public that this is the focus for the next major school construction project. Again, so when the Board of Education starts submitting capital budget requests, and this is a major item, you have some information about what the intent, what the goal is, and the strategy is, and the schedule is. So with that, Sandra, you want to add anything to it, or then Mike can do the presentation, what the conceptual design is.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would add is oftentimes people will ask us, how do we come up with the decisions that we come up with in terms of which school is next? And we did have a very comprehensive study done in 2021 by Newman DLR. It could be found on our website. It's a very lengthy study. And within that study, it tiered the schools, and the way that you get top priority is if you have very expensive repairs that need to be made, that they say can't be deferred much longer. And so then West Rocks was actually chosen as the top, which is, you know, this is one of the tops that you don't want, because it just means that you have a lot of very expensive repairs that needed to occur at that school. And the city and the board have met many, many times to discuss this Newman DLR study and to take advantage of the reimbursement rate that Senator Duff and our other state delegates have secured for us. And I believe, Alan, I don't know if you mentioned that one of the goals is to try to do a project every 3 years or so. And so West Rocks would be the next one. And then after 3 years, we would come back to the table again and see where we stand. But it is something that is backed up with a large amount of research and has been thoroughly studied from every angle and put up against other schools. And this is the determination. But Mike Lasasso has more information on the site, unless you have questions about that piece. Okay.
Good.
Michael, do you have the presentation, Michael, or do you think you need me to do it?
I do. I'm going to
Awesome.
I'm going to do my best to I have to do this in a specific sequence. Is my audio coming through first off?
It is.
Okay, terrific. All right, let me try sharing my screen. Are you able to see the presentation in full?
Yes.
We are.
Terrific. So my name is Michael Lasasso, has already been mentioned. I am an architect at Antonazzi Associates, and we're located at 271 Fairfield Avenue in Bridgeport, Connecticut. We've been working, as Alan had mentioned, on the project, and had actually done a couple of iterations or explorations. At the onset of our exploration, we introduced this slide, which comes from an earlier site analysis. We had originated the exploration based on the fact that the site had recently had, when we started this project, had recently had fields added. And so we looked at a series of phased construction elements that allowed the project to develop while the existing school was still active, but working in and around the area that's associated with the school on the upper level. The first phase would have entailed this sort of U-shaped structure with 3- and 2-story additions that would house the academic spaces, the classrooms and science rooms. And then after that was built, the southern leg of the existing West Rock School would be moved into that space. The southern leg that comprises the academic spaces would be demolished, and then the balance of the central office and common spaces would have been completed, followed by the final demolition of this 2B area. This was really the only way that we could see to preserve the fields, and after some time had passed, a different approach was explored, which is what I'll review with you tonight. Essentially, the multi-phase construction generally translates into additional time, and that additional time results in significant additional expense. This is an image of the.
I'm sorry. Could I say a couple of words before just to elaborate why we first of all, one of the reasons that by doing this, we actually put that building very close to the street. That's one thing that we're concerned about. Second of all, construction-wise, a bit of a problem because we took all the parking lot away, and we student drop-off area and stuff becomes another issue. The third one is very disruptive to education because when you do this, mechanical system controls and everything else, security, evacuation, and all that stuff becomes a very challenging. Similar to idea that we came up with Norwalk High School. The reason we decided to go away from doing similar kind of phase construction, it's the same thing. It's very disruptive. And when you start to demolish a building, the noise, vibration travel right through the building. It's just not a good experience for the school community. So those are 3 of the fundamental reasons why we go away from this, and also cost because the time it takes if we extend construction a year, a year is basically we are carrying right now, annual cost increase is about 4 to 5% a year. So if you think a project, just rough number, $100 million, that's like $5 million a year. So there's real value in terms of like time, you know. So anyways, those are some of the reasons that we move away from this concept. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. This is the site as it appears today, and we introduced this slide just to illustrate some of the aspects that we were trying to maintain. There is a natural organization to the configuration of the existing school, which centers the common spaces toward the north end, and then, as we mentioned before, the academic spaces toward the south leg here. There are existing curb cuts, which we are intending to try to maintain in the study that we developed. Existing parking where we can will be reutilized, and we actually developed a scheme that also looks to manage and maintain the existing tennis courts. The one feature that was introduced with the fields, which we thought was interesting, was this terraced area that is comprised of concrete terraces and grass surface, and it appears to be a seating space that is designed for observation of sporting activities that are on the main field. And the site is a bit challenging in the sense that, and I don't know if you can see in your view, but these contour lines are very closely spaced, which suggests steep grade changes. And there's one grade change here, and then another grade change here. So the design that we developed had to accommodate some of those site features as well. This diagram describes physical relationships that we were trying to maintain. The central axis that is represented by this blue line is the organizer that around which the common spaces are developed, and this crossing axis suggests the intersection of traffic from drop-off points, which would be on the essentially the northwest and southeast sides of the building. We, in the same way that the existing building separates the common spaces from the academic spaces, we did the same with our academic spaces in the lower quadrant, and then the central common spaces on what's essentially would be the main level of the future developed site. We did try to also organize our noise-making spaces like the auditorium and PE spaces and even food service away from the academic spaces. And we're hoping to actually utilize this terraced seating to be a means of introducing an indoor-outdoor stage configuration. We'll show you a little bit more in detail. One other feature I'll just mention, unlike the existing school, which has one really large lot and then sort of a secondary lot for parking, we looked at opportunities of distributing parking around the site, specific for various after-hours events. We think that the smaller localized parking will have the effect of introducing more greenery and also be more purpose-driven in terms of how the parking is utilized for the property. Lastly, I'll mention this yellow arrow is representing a desire to make a connection that loops the one end of the vehicular pathway to the other side of the site. Generally, we try to do that with our school projects in order to respond to concerns for first responders or emergency vehicles. It's generally well received by the building official, and it also adds the ability to introduce a bit more square footage in larger structures from a code standpoint. Oops, sorry. This next slide actually describes the proposed site plan. So as you can see, the spaces that were described in sort of bubble diagram form have now been transferred into somewhat of a building. The academic spaces to the lower end, and this is like we had in our earlier option, a 3-story structure. The idea is that the intermediate story would align with the common spaces at that same elevation, and then you would go a story down or a story up from that main level to access classrooms on the upper or lower floors. The 3-story building is designed to separate the grades 6th, 7th, and 8th We're somewhat agnostic in terms of which grade goes where. We made some value judgments, but I think the further development of the program and ed specs will actually refine that further as the Board of Ed develops those. We have two different delivery points. On the western side of the building, we have the bus drop, which comes in off of Aiken Street. And we have a parent drop, which begins through this curb cut on West Rocks, migrates through the drives, and provides a circular drop on the opposite side of the building. They would then convey back out the way they came. And that way we would never have an opportunity of having two vehicle streams, the buses and the parents, ever crossing. As I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of distributed parking, much of which is being installed above existing parking. So there's hopefully the opportunity to reclaim or mill and repave the existing portions of the existing lots, which will help offset some additional costs. And once the new building is developed and the existing West Rock School is removed, the balance of the site would be redeveloped to accommodate the replacement of a new athletic field and a new multi-purpose field. This next slide gives you an overview of two of the floor levels. On the right-hand side is the intermediate level, which is the level that that the middle level of the academic wing and the common spaces share. And then to the left-hand side is the lower level. So you would step down a level to access this. The academic space is organized around a central courtyard, and there is a outdoor learning space that would be incorporated there as well in this proposed scheme. This area would be fully fenced and separated from the exterior for security. And we do have primary points of interest also, or sorry, entrance also through secure entrances. The intent would be that the main entrance to the building would be on the left-hand side of the intermediate level after school's in session. And then these other entrance points could be available after hours. I should mention too, this, if you can see my cursor, this line that is the top of the academic wing essentially allows us to secure the entire academic wing without access after hours, should that be desired, so that the common spaces could be utilized, but no one would be admitted into the academic spaces. This larger scale plan is the upper portion of the plan. This is the layout of the proposed common spaces. We developed a hypothetical floor plan based in part on the information that we had from the original school, and optimized it with some guidance through the design process. But I'll mention that the Board of Ed is currently working through educational specifications. So some of the information that's depicted here may change as it develops to fully suit the intended needs of the West Rocks school program. We have a gymnasium and the stage. If I can move this out of the way, you can see at the top, this is the rear side of the stage, which would have an operable door that would allow access to a stage. And this dotted line is the center line of the terraced exterior concrete terraces on the upper portion of the site. The spaces are separated by fitness and weight health classrooms. We have a main gymnasium with some seating. I notice our seats got shifted there. They're supposed to be in alignment with one another. On the lower right-hand side of the plan, we have the food service area with the cafeteria and serving, receiving area, and mechanical spaces. The administration space at the lower center portion of the plan is central to the building, intentionally having supervision of the entrances that come from both the east and west sides of the school. We have a media center proposed as kind of the, I guess you'd say the feature space. As one walks in through the main entrance, you would see through into the media center, and then a series of corridors that actually separate the choral and band rooms. And these spaces would also be, like the auditorium, heavily attenuated for to mitigate sound transmission. This plan is the intermediate level of the academic wing. And it's representative really of all of the classroom levels. On the upper portion, we have science classrooms, in this case, a computer classroom. And these are semi-shared spaces, but as you descend into the legs, if you will, of the plan, you have the two independent cohorts, each with 5 classrooms apiece per grade. And these particular classrooms were designed around a 24 student capacity, although we understand that there is a 28 student maximum that's permitted by the teachers' contracts. And again, these spaces all have visual access to the central courtyard. The intent would be that this outdoor learning space would be available to students for all different grade ages. But there's a implied physical separation that we have between the grades by putting them each on separate floor levels. And I'm having trouble advancing my slides. There we go. The last image is just an image of the uppermost level of the academic spaces. And as I mentioned before, we have some similar spaces like science classrooms. On this particular level, we were proposing to locate the 8th graders. There's a gifted and talented classroom, related arts classrooms, and visual arts associated with this level. And again, the other students, if ultimately, if the EdSpec retains these spaces, we would have the ability to access them either by centralized elevator or stairwell without having to cross into the standard classrooms of the various grades. Each classroom is intended to be standardized so that there's a uniformity. We're also providing teacher rooms so that there's a lack of ownership for the classrooms, which is along the lines of sort of the 21st century approach to school design. And there's a myriad of smaller group classrooms and resource spaces that have been provided also as means of supporting the basic academic program. Finally, I'll touch upon, on the left-hand side is the state's current space standard program or calculation. And we had utilized a hypothetical 720 pupil middle school, which was, and Sandra, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was around the average that we were looking for middle schools in Norwalk.
Yes.
This calculation provides us a school that is about 100 or has the ability to be as large as 121,000. I got to look in almost 122,000 square feet. And based on the program spaces that we utilized and standard recommended classroom sizes and lab space sizes provided by the state, we're forecasting a building at 120,000, call it 121,000 roughly, all floors included. So we think that this, I won't call it a test fit exactly, but a sort of informed conceptual design is certainly capable of achieving a school that would fall within and below the space standard requirements from the state. And that concludes the presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions? I have seen the presentation already. And so I'm just going to ask there, there are two things that I know have been of concern to the public. One is, this was a question that came up, those of us who live in the area know that there have been some drainage problems under the field, and, well, I don't want to say under the field, but like in that back area. And so if you could just talk about, because there's the field back there right now, that lower field that is kind of swampy. So if you could just address the drainage issues that you'll be dealing with there.
Yeah, this has come up a few times, and I should have mentioned it actually when we walked through the first round of the presentation. This type of situation is, I think, common in Connecticut properties that house schools. You very rarely see a property that's particularly easy to develop for a school because they're oftentimes properties that the town has difficulty selling. So, but in the case of any school property, we are statutorily required to avoid the discharge of stormwater off of our site. So as part of the development of this particular site, we would implement stormwater management, which would include forms of either retention or detention, which are essentially below grade storage that allows water to leach back into the ground slowly. So it would have the capacity to hold large storm events and then manage its dispersal in a way that doesn't overcharge either the storm system that's provided for this part of the city or overflow into adjacent properties. And if necessary, and I have to admit we haven't done any geotechnical analysis, but there are a number of construction techniques that can be utilized to also help improve soil for bearing capacity, as well as implement various types of protection to prevent moisture infiltration into the lower level.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to address that a bit just to reassure the public. And then the other, does anyone have any further questions about that? Because those of us who've had kids play, soccer practice back there, we know what it can be like. So no further questions about the drainage. Just the other thing that has come up, and I've even gotten some questions today now that word is out about the about West Rocks being the next school, is that we will be building it on the current field. And so, just to address the timing of that, as we've discussed when we saw the plans recently, that we are working to make sure that that happens, one, when it's near end of life, and two, when we'll be able to use the new fields at Norwalk High. So can someone address that in a more specific way?
Yeah, right now, Norwalk High School soccer plays on those fields in the fall semester. And the reason why this project schedule is such that with the opening of school in the fall of 2027, so the fall 2000, the Norwalk High School will still be using the soccer field. That's why our strategy is start working on this project in spring of 2028. Because by the fall of 2028, the new fields should be in place. That's a strategy, so that I'm sorry, I made a mistake. So by the time we finish Norwalk High School, and the field at Norwalk High School will be available to Norwalk High School in the fall of 2028. Therefore, we can remove this field from circulation, because at some point we need to start construction. So our goal here is to start construction in this building in the spring of 2028. And then for high school soccer, they can play on the new field at Norwalk High School by fall of 2028. So that is the sequencing. I'm sorry, I got everybody confused a little bit, because I was a little confused, not confused, but messed up a little bit. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, the schedule is actually kind of like work with, we do our best to work with the field demands for the high school as well. So the construction project is anticipated to take 2 years. So opening would be the fall of 2030. I know it's still a long way from, it's 5 years from now, but that's how long this project takes. It takes about a year and a half or so to develop and go for approval process and all that stuff. And then construction take like 2 more years to do, kind of thing. So it is. And then after we build a building, then we got to tear down the existing building and create a field. So it is a lengthy process.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone have any more questions or anything to add? Ms. Edie?
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Just curious, it might already be in the backup, but I'm just asking. will there be solar with this school? Any type of solar? And what type of fields will be on this new school?
For the city, this committee and overall the city, we are for every one of these new building projects, whether it's school building on, we are looking to put solar, rooftop solar on every one of these projects. I think that recently on South North School, that is going to be a challenge, and yeah,
We-
because South Norwalk is under municipal, it's under South Norwalk Electric Works, which is a municipal utility company. Their parameters and what we can and cannot do is very different. I mean, for that project, we've been working with SNU for like 2 years, and because the rate they charge the consumer, it's lower than the other utility company. It's hard to make the financial work, especially now that the federal tax credit is now available to us, and also because they're a municipal utility company, they're exempt from deregulation, and we cannot buy power from a third party. Because typically, when we do these projects, we actually have a solar company come in, install the system, and we lease it from them, and we actually pay them. So in a way, we're buying power from them. So in SNU territory, we couldn't do it. So I know I changed the topic a little bit here, but generally speaking, all new construction project, major construction project, we will be doing solar, and the method to do this is actually for a power purchase agreement, which is a lease agreement with a solar company. The second question is what type of field is this going to be? Is that right?
Yes.
And typically, we're still looking at artificial turf.
Mhm.
I think fundamentally, we met with different manufacturers. We evaluated. In fact, for North High School, we actually met with 4 different manufacturers. We talked about the environmental concern from perspective, whether there's real or there's what the industry has changed in recent years. We look at all that, and then fundamentally, the issue with artificial, not issue, the desire to do artificial turf, it's partially because we are an urban city. Can you imagine Norwalk High School? I mean, what we do, we play soccer on it, and then 2 hours later we may play field hockey, whatever it is, and then football practice on it. In order to do all that stuff in one field, you need multiple fields. You need to have the land, and you have to provide the maintenance and conditioning on all these fields. And at urban city, we don't have the luxury to have all that facility available to us. So I think it's to the extent that a artificial turf field provide all those options in a continuously do this. It's very important that we do this. And also, again, the whole question about material use and stuff like that, that's continued to be tested and evaluated at the manufacturer level, and we can obtain all the documentation necessary to show that the certain chemical they used previously for fabrication of the grass and stuff is no longer in use. So I think we can look at all that stuff as you look at the field itself. I mean, if we don't, so artificial turf field like this one here, that's the only field you're going to have, generally speaking, or the little side practice field kind of thing. All the sports goes on it. I know this is not a high school, but for middle school, there's a lot of different activity that you want to put on it. It just, it is the desired service for urban cities.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Sandra, did you want to add anything?
I have some, Barbara.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you, Heather. Go ahead.
When did we finish the fields at West Rocks?
2021.
And so were those are turf fields currently, right? Or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that the old turf fields that you're saying are more hazardous that we would put in non-hazardous ones now?
Think technology is changing so much. 5 years from now, it could be a totally different product. When I first started in athletics, it was all about the black rubber, etc. They got into so many different fillers. There's so many more options. There's actually turf that doesn't even have any filler. So this topic, I'm sure, is going to come up more and more. But I think as we get closer to the fact when it's going to be and what kind of new technology is out there is probably a good thing.
Okay. My other issue is I do have a huge issue with the citing of this, and primarily because you know, I am District D. Those are my constituents that I've been hearing about, as Barbara talked about, with the runoff and the disruption, and it is very densely populated with the condos. You can actually see them on the map there, right on the left. I do not understand why we're pushing a building up against a very densely populated area without the buffer, the fields. If anything, having the fields buffer, you know, people's residential space, I think is a better situation. You know, we just did it with the high school, and I understand we had to do it on that footprint. But you know, where are we staging? We're going to be staging, you know, construction materials back up against the condos and stuff like that. I think you're going to have a lot of pushback on where you're trying to site it and where the staging will be. There's a lot of people that live there.
You know, Heather, you know, just to address that, I mean, I think one of the things that's going to have to be really, really important is, you know, and, you know, DPW is going to be very much involved in this, is I think that there's going to have to be a lot of communication and engagement with the people who live there at Sunrise Hill. Because I know, you know, we did have a problem with, you know, I don't know what ended up happening there, but, you know, there was some real concerns about runoff from the athletic field. My understanding is that was all addressed, but yeah, and that's why I'm asking the question. It's like we have to be very, very, very serious about the drainage there.
Those people already have a serious lack of trust, and this has nothing to do with the school system, but it has to do with the city overall and how that was handled and what they were put through during all of that construction of the field, and now telling them that they're going to build a brand new field up abutting their properties and all the construction going on, and they're going to be ripping up the field. I think you're going to have a lot of pushback from people. So I personally am not in favor of the new site plan. I think the design of the building is great. I think the architect did a good job. I understand that we need to renovate the building and stuff like that, but the way it's cited, I think, you know, especially with, I just think it's not good.
Michael, you did comment to us about staging, because that was one of our questions and concerns. Did you have a place for that, I believe?
It was actually this existing parking lot. I'm not sure that helps the argument too much. I wasn't aware of the concerns of the condominium, but the benefit of this particular staging location is simply that it has its own curb cut, independent of any of the activity that's going on at the school. So you had the ability to enter and exit with a fair amount of lay down space without disrupting the activities of the existing school.
It's not, you know, single homes. We have probably several hundred condo units on that road right there, abutting it, both on that side, abutting it directly and directly across the street at Sunrise.
What's the impression of the from this site looking back? Are you and I'm asking because again, it's hard to see. I'm going to try to. Oh, this one actually shows a little bit better. You can see this very dense contour line, which suggests to me that this is actually considerably higher than the adjacent condo. They're looking up at the field? Is that how that the sense when you're on that site
Yes.
looking?
Yeah, sort of. That's the runoff that Barbara was talking
Yeah.
about. So they built those fields, and we know turf fields don't absorb water the way natural do. So there was a ton of runoff. They were having huge issues with their insurance companies. It was not really addressed by the city. They were left swinging in the wind for a very long time. And they still have very hard feelings about it. And I don't think I think regardless of what we do, I don't think even going to them and speaking to them about it, they're gonna feel like they're being gaslit, honestly.
Yeah, it's a challenge. We almost never do a project that's not a concern, for adjacent property owners. The only thing I could say to that, and I did allude to it in the presentation, is that there actually are statutory requirements to mitigate runoff from the property. And while I don't disagree that site development might be disturbing for some of the folks that live in these properties, they will have an opportunity to correct the issue if there is still one that exists, or prevent an issue. Again, as obligated by school construction. So
I
I'm not.
mean, I think they, as a rule, all support the school system, but it's a lot of taxpayers, a lot of voters, a lot of people that feel like, they have not been cared for. And just talking a good game is not gonna show them that they should think otherwise. I don't know. I don't think this is gonna go over well.
So Heather, what is their concern? Has the drainage been addressed? I was under the impression that there isn't a drainage issue any longer.
It took a very, very long time. People's lives were upended. I think they were dealt with, like deluges of water in their homes, from what I understand. This was prior to me being on the council, so I just know that, it was something that people, did not feel really good about the city, and they didn't feel like we were partners, and we as the city were partners with our neighbors trying to resolve their quality of life issues that were being impacted by, trying to have fields put in, which again is a good thing for our city.
Well, the other thing,
I can add a little bit more to it, Jim.
okay,
So after the turf field was put in there, there were, quite a few of the neighbors complaining of getting water where they had never had it before. And, I hadn't heard Heather as much as deluge into their homes, but there definitely were quite a lot of complaints. But at the same time, they were also dealing with, we were really having a problem. This was during the pandemic, with dumping. People were, coming up in that little parking lot over there and dumping right over the hill. And so, they took care of that with some lights and some signs, the way I recall it. But they're really, and I had not, heard some of the ex more extreme concerns that you're sharing, Heather, but definitely there have been some problems. Now, my understanding is that runoff was addressed. I haven't heard anything about any complaints anytime recently, but and I think what I'm hearing with what the requirements are going to be is that this is the opportunity to truly address the drainage problems there and make things better for the people who live there. That being said, they're going to have a whole school where they currently have a field. So I think that the engagement with the community there is going to be like right up front, really, really, really important.
because I think the last time we talked about this a couple of weeks ago was the drainage issue was described as well. Sometimes the kids get get muddy shoes playing on that practice field.
It's two different things, Jim.
Yeah.
Two separate things.
It's
The
all-
muddy
Well,
field
but
has
no,
been an
no,
issue for
but my point
decades.
is, hold on, my point is, the only concern seemed to be at that time, that's just muddy shoes on that practice field. If it's the practice field, just little runoff coming off that and going into the condos, that's a whole nother story.
Jim, it was
Yeah,
just
it's two separate issues.
not at the current moment, it's not an ongoing issue. No. It was an issue for way too long during the construction phase and prior to it being, like completed and done and where it is now. It was resolved,
Mhm.
but
So there's not an issue, it's not an issue now. There isn't
I know.
massive flooding in the
But now you
condos
go
now.
back to them and say, hey, guess what, guys? It's really exciting. We've got this brand new junior high we're just about to build. We're just gonna put it on the field and you're gonna have dump trucks and plows or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Right.
Well,
when-
but I understand that, but it's not a permanent thing. And the fact of the matter is that you're not gonna have a field there that's and you're gonna have more impervious surface there. You're gonna have better drainage because you're gonna have it's gonna be partially covered by a building. I think it's from my perspective, it would almost sound as if this is going to be an improvement to what we have. And maybe Michael, you can answer this question to me: is that how high is this building going to be? Is it going to be massive because it'll be on the top of a hill and block out the sun for these people, or
Yeah,
is it going to be built
I-
into the side of the hill? I think we
was-
talked a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as we were just hearing the comments about the concerns of the adjacent property. What we attempted to do was actually utilize the grades to our advantage. So even though this is a 3-story structure, it's built into a hillside. So from the vantage point of somebody on this level, it would appear to be 2 stories, this portion, and this is a single story. I do think that and the other thing, it's not clear, it looks like it's heavily wooded here, and that could obviously be supplemented, I think, to provide additional screening as part of the construction project. But this would look like a 3-story building from this side of the property. I know that's not a particular selling point necessarily, but
It is uphill from where they are. I don't think it's big enough. It doesn't look like that would be blocking out the sun.
Well,
There,
I'm
not-
sorry, the sun is south is actually on the bottom, so the sun is actually coming from the bottom.
just saying, it
Yeah.
doesn't look like it's gonna be a monolith, but noise, absolutely, when you think about something above you, coming down on you, there is noise. It is not a forest there. It's some large growth trees, which hopefully, well, not hopefully, have to be preserved. And making sure that their roots are cared for and stuff like that. So when you talk about drainage systems going up against their, trees are a good way to absorb runoff too. So that would be a big concern for me personally.
having
That's up front because I don't think those condo, residents are going to be concerned about that. To me, this looks like something that could be a lawsuit. If they don't feel like they are part of the process and being truly considered.
Yeah, and I think that, the history of, the schools that we have built, the community has been very much engaged. I think about Norwalk High School, there were a lot of concerned, families in that area. And I think that, it was all handled really quite well. I think, could you go back to the picture, because Jim, I just want to the practice field. So Jim, so there really were 2 issues. And I just want to make sure that it's clear. That little practice field down there, that's the field that, for decades, it just, after rain, it would just be muddy, and that was the question that, I know I had asked and someone else in the meeting when, who also knew about that field. After it rains, it just gets really, muddy. The athletic field, the turf field that was put in created different issues. And that was corrected. It was corrected, but when it was a problem, during the construction and then after, it really did have the residents quite upset, but it was corrected. So, I don't think that that's what, it's two separate issues. And from what I'm hearing, both are going to be addressed, and I think for the betterment, because I know that, when we do that type of drainage work, there's huge improvements. So from what I'm hearing, I think we're going to be okay around the drainage, but I do think it's really important, as I've said, to engage the community, as we've done.
We have a town hall on October 7th, just as a segue,
Right.
and it's going to be held at West Rocks. So we have shared it out with our parents. I don't believe that maybe some of your residents are parents, maybe they're not, but please feel free to share it with them. We've put out a press release also.
Yeah, they have an association, so,
Okay.
it would be good for them to get that information. Okay, anything else?
I think tomorrow, I think what I'll do is based on this conversation, I'm going to send an invite to the full common council so that advise the council that we are having a meeting next Tuesday night. I think the 7th is Tuesday, right? Yeah, 7 p.m.
Yes.
at West Rochester. So
Yeah,
any
on
member of
7th
common
at
council
7.
will be interested in
That's the
stopping by.
Public Works meeting that night. Public Works meets that night,
Oh.
so just FYI.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you could get the word out to other folks, then
Absolutely.
they can come and there's a panel of us and we can note their concerns and answer any questions.
There are 3 major condo complexes right there, so I think you should reach out to the presidents of each of those too.
It's Sunrise Hill that's the main concern. That's the one that's it, yeah. But
The people that
there's across the street.
get, from anywhere to anywhere, me getting to work. Trying to get through there, it's gonna really impact them. So they're gonna care about it. You don't want them mad afterwards when it's going on. It's better to keep them in the loop ahead of time to express any concerns they have. Rolling Ridge is also on that road, right? So there.
Yeah.
I know them because I worked with them with the BJ's thing, so.
Okay, anything else?
I just
Okay.
want to, I say this all the time, one last thing. With the election coming up, and then I think for the this is October, right? November meeting. I think I have about maybe 3 or 4 items that it's not fully time sensitive, but it's at the same time, it's important that I continue to move along. One is like we are getting proposal for construction management for the Westport Avenue fire stations and a couple other items about bids coming and stuff. I know previously from previous councils during right after election, reasonably, I think the council does not want to vote on anything that's potentially controversial kind of thing. But at the same time, is that I do have some time, not critical time sensitive, but some stuff that I want to kind of continue to move forward. So I'm thinking that maybe I will put a schedule together and submit to this committee and to see whether we will have again, next meeting is right the day after election kind of thing. And then to the extent possible, I would like to send those items to the Common Council for approval. But I'm fully sensitive about council's feeling about, voting on something that the next council had to accept kind of thing. But at the same time, these are ongoing things, and I would provide a list of them and just for this committee to look at to see whether this committee will refer those items for common council action right after the election. Again, it's a performance stuff that these projects been going on, and maintaining a schedule is somewhat important to me at the progress of the project. So I'll do that so that for your consideration, if the committee and the council does not have an issue, then I will continue to have a meeting on the first Wednesday of November, so I can get to the council at the second Tuesday.
Okay, and then would you want to consider, if you've got these items and you know that they'll be ready, would you want to consider trying to add them to the October 28th agenda before the election?
No, I don't think,
Okay.
I think I need
You
every,
can't, okay.
I think need the whole month, yeah.
All right, okay,
Yeah, it's again, it's similar to that. It's just a construction, stuff that's been in place, it's funded and everything else. It's not intended to be political sensitive items and stuff. So to the extent that the council will entertain them at the second Tuesday of November, that'd be great for me. But anyway, I'll put them together so you see them ahead of time.
okay. Thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Okay. I'll call for a motion.
I had to,
What's that motion?
I'll say it's my adjournment.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.